Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Prime Time Newscast in the English language on Canal International. I'm called Morinzi. We begin with our top stories. The local organizing committee for the funeral of the SDF, the late SDF national chairman, has been assured the public that preparations are well in course for a hitch-free burial of the politician in his Babatu village next weekend. This was during a briefing in Bamenda today. And the European Union has bid farewell to its mission head in charge of civil protection and humanity aid, an opportunity not only show the importance of EU commitment to humanitarian support to the victims of various crises in Cameroon, but also for the ambassador and EU delegation heads to condemn the recent killings in Bamenda, describing it as lamentable and pathetic. And after the official release of the baccalaureate results, candidates are already rushing for preparatory classes to learn more on how to approach competitive entrance examinations. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. A young man in his 30s in Pete, Bandjoun, in the west region of Cameroon, is currently behind bars for setting his father's house ablaze. He is said to have also threatened to kill his father because he failed in a promise to give him 1,500 francs CFA as demanded from him. More on the story with our reporter, Gladys Ambo Tiba.
It still seemed like a dream to inhabitants of Pete Bandjoun in the west region of Cameroon that this 30-year-old man, Futse Wabud, set ablaze his father's house and threatened to kill him because of 1,500 CFA francs he had demanded from his father, who promised to give him the next day. He went to his father's house and set it on fire on the pretext that his father refused to give him the sum of 1,500 CFA francs he demanded. Earlier, he left a note that he would come back and kill his father. The man performed the heinous act on the night of July 18, 2023, with hopes that his father was indoors. He started by destroying the electrical meter and then used chairs to block the doors before he set the house ablaze. Fortunately, his father was not in the house when he was doing all this. Today, because of an amount of 1,500 CFA francs, a native of this land decides to burn down the house of his father, whereas there are young people who are expected to take care of their parents who are tired. For 1,500 francs, he sets a house ablaze. Even if it were for 1,000,000 francs CFA, is he supposed to carry out such an act? He was later arrested after thorough search and taken to the police station where he has been detained. We received information that he was in front of his father's shop in Bandjoun. That is when we came and he was arrested. He was in possession of a knife. Such crimes are becoming recurrent in Bandjoun, in the west region of Cameroon. Recently, it was another young man in the same town who killed his father for an insignificant sum of 3,000 francs CFA.
And inhabitants of Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon woke up this Thursday morning to the discovery of yet another corpse at the Aziri, a new church neighborhood in Bamenda 2 subdivision, with his identification papers still lying on him, partially destroyed by bullets or shots. Onlookers identified the man as a new Kelvin, born in 1977 in Bamenda, with a chain and padlock on the left leg. The corpse carries signs of torture and bullet wounds from the left ear, breaches through to the right side of the neck. Neighbors of the Aziri New Church area, at least having heard some gunshots last night at about 8 o'clock at press time. The mortal remains of he who happens to be a businessman around the small Mankong area was still to be disposed of. We'll certainly come back to that in our subsequent editions of newscasts. The local organizing committee for the funeral of the late SDF national chairman has assured the public that preparations are well on course for a hitch-free burial of the politician in his Babatu village, that is next weekend. This was during a press briefing in Bamenda today. More on the story with our reporter Gladys Ambodibang and Annie Collins Annie.
Slightly over a week to the funeral of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, the SDF, the local organizing committee has addressed a press briefing in Bamenda this Tuesday, July 20, 2023. Headed by Fongo Cletus Tangui, the lone SDF mayor in the northwest region, journalists have been clarified on certain preoccupations like security that has occupied center stage for years now.
Security matters are not disclosed in the public, but be rest assured that your security will be guaranteed. Have that confidence that your security will be guaranteed before, during, and after the occasion.
As concerns the absence of family members at this encounter with the press, the local party top notches dismissed any discrepancy vis-à-vis the family.
The family is heading the preparations in as much as we are trying to bury the national chairman as the chairman of the party. He is first of all the father to a family, and so it is the family that is championing the preparations, and it starts from Yaoundé. They are actually at the center of the national organizing committee.
In regards to the recent inferno at the village compound of the emblematic politician, the committee chair says it was a light incident that will not hamper his laying to rest.
Small building behind the kitchen in the village was vandalized by unknown men, and after that they shot some 2 or 3 things and burst them on the new building. That is what happened that night.
All in all, they have emphasized that Nijon Fundi will be mourned by a cross-section of society and not only militants and sympathizers of the SDF party, owing to the role he played on the political landscape in Cameroon.
And the European Union has bid a farewell to its mission head in charge of civil protection and humanitarian aid, the opportunity not only to show importance of the European Union commitments and humanitarian support to the victims of various crises in Cameroon, but also for the ambassador and EU delegation head to condemn the recent killings in Bamenda, describing it as lamentable and pathetic. More on the story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
The killing of some 10 persons at Nacho Junction last Sunday in Bamenda, condemned vehemently by the ambassador, delegation head of the European Union to Cameroon, Philip Van Dam, as pitiful indeed.
Je trouve que ce qui s'est passé à Bamenda, indépendamment de qui a fait quoi,
I think that what happened in Bamenda, independently of who has done what, is absolutely lamentable and pathetic. I don't know what was the objective of this kind of actions, but it is not like this that resolve crises. It is not targeting innocent civilians that the credibility of the perpetrators of the act will increase.
Qu'on augmente la crédibilité de ceux qui commettent ces actes-là. C'est lamentable.
Around the dinner, the residence of the EU representative Wednesday night in Yaoundé to bid farewell to their mission head for civil protection and humanitarian aid, Philippe Van Damme used the pretext to explain the European Union has been and is still very committed in our humanitarian actions in Cameroon.
The figures of our humanitarian aid to Cameroon have been increasing over recent years. We have been mobilizing 16 billion CFA franc in Cameroon only this year in response to the various crises.
Glaring proof and example.
We have just launched another program of 12-13 billion yesterday, program co-financed with the German GIZ. Which is more focusing on the northwest-southwest regions, and where again we are targeting victims of the conflicts. The most vulnerable among these victims are, of course, the women and the youth and the children.
Programs they implement at grassroots levels through civil society organizations. Grassroots, they say, is where the building of the society and reconciliation starts.
Central ministerial departments keep dissolving powers to decentralize services, whereas there is hope in the horizon for many projects to be realized in the northwest region of Cameroon. That at least is a hope of the Northwest Regional Assembly, which has adopted a plan about 100 projects in the 7 divisions of the region. More on the story with our reporter, Saleh Sharifa.
The budget debate and orientation session of the Northwest Regional Assembly has ended in Bamenda, with divisional councillors presenting about 100 lofty development projects to be funded. But how feasible is the realization of these projects by a newly created institution, which seems to be financially limping?
There is no much gain saying that the Regional Assembly does not have money and may not realize these projects because there is funding from FACOM, there is funding from the devolved powers, and the Regional Assembly also has a budget.
For efficient work to be done on ground, there is need to tighten the noose on dubious contractors, like a case in a co-subdivision.
They came for provisional reception, and we did everything to get the medical doctor director here. When he came, we now had 2 presentations.
If the budgetary line was meant for the construction of a classroom and you go and construct a hospital, no matter how big it is, you are still in trouble. Please respect what is coming out of the budget.
At the end of the 3-day session, the Special Status House adopted the much-awaited organizational chart.
Will permit us to get the most essential resource for development. That is, draw up a recruitment plan to recruit the human capital to drive the lofty development plans this House is elaborating.
Midway into their 5-year mandate, the Northwest Regional Assembly has the other half to convince or be convicted by the electorate, as observed by the representative of the state, Governor Adolphe Lafrique.
The baccalaureate results are out, and it's through a telephone that the students or candidates were able to get their results. What does that entail, and how does it function? Beatrice Gamo and a student journalist on internship, Paloma Asama, met some of the successful candidates this Thursday in Yaoundé for a better understanding via story.
The long-awaited day is finally here. Baccalaureate result is out. Tensed, stressed, and uncertain, actors allowed the elder brother to verify his faith. Unlike him, these others braved the odd.
I text the number 8070 and I sent my matricule, which cost 150 francs CFA. I received my matricule confirming I was admitted. I did a transfer of 500 francs. I typed my registration number, and in less than 5 minutes, I received my results and saw admitted.
Admitted is the code for pass.
The message contained my name and surname, date of birth, and down was written admitted.
Jubilation time for the candidates and family members, proud of the final outcome, a great relief. Unlike the others, after getting the pass message, she came back to school to verify once more.
When I received my results numerically, I was very happy. But today, I decided to come to school to verify if it is true.
Worth recalling here that it is since 2016 that results published by the Baccalaureate Board are sent via registration numbers. All candidates are eligible to that, except otherwise.
The official release of baccalaureate results, candidates are already rushing for preparatory classes to learn more on how to approach competitive entrance examination, a stage for which they undergo preparatory courses offered by specialized centers. Saleh Sharifa.
Aspiring university students, they are here to receive a know-how on how to better approach the official competitions into great universities. These new graduates from the baccalaureate are taking part in preparatory classes. In this specialized center, like many others in the city of Douala, they receive advice and techniques to brave the various entrance tests. We prepare students to enter major universities such as Polytechnic University of Douala and Yaoundé. This is where I got my own experience. I left from here in 2020 as a teacher. I teach mathematics and physical sciences. Since we are on holidays, I came to pass on what I got to others. Here, there are well-structured course programs, small classes, and advice on exam strategies from experienced teachers where they share their knowledge and experiences. I was referred by a senior who did his and succeeded. I would like to come out here with good results, and why not come back to share with others. A choice of integration that many of them did not have the opportunity to make. For 2 months of preparation, each of these young people pays an amount of 50,000 francs. They are attracted by the reputation and success rate of these centers.
The executive board members of the National Institute of Youth and Sports have urged governments to implement mechanisms that can permit the institute become economically productive by generating its own revenue. The recommendation was made this Thursday, July 20, after the examination of the different accounts of the institute for the year 2022. More on the story with our reporter, Hyson Cha.
On the table for deliberations during this second ordinary session of the National Institute of Youth and Sport was the examination of administrative and management accounts, as well as the material management accounts of the institutions for the year 2022, and the review of the control budget of the executive. And at the end of the closed-door meeting chaired by the board chair, Adum Garwa, the members of the Executive Council adopted key resolutions.
All our budgetary and financial documents were adopted, and the Board of Directors have taken some resolution relating to the human resources management.
The fate of some teachers were equally decided upon during the session this July 20th, 2023.
Resolutions were taken relating to the retirement of some personnel. Retirement of some personnel of the National Institute of Youth and Sports.
And among the many recommendations also advanced at the end of the session, the board urged the government to consolidate mechanisms that can permit INJS generate its own revenue to meet the needs of the institute.
And that report by Hysen Cha brings us the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is The Brief with Lil Piaget. So we'll be back same time, this time around tomorrow. Good night.